Well, we're come over from the earlier sites. This is paint pots or boiling geysers that are just coming up to the surface. This is water that's going down. It hits the magma below us, and we're on the European side now of the continental rift. And you can see the stuff just kind of bubbling up. Smells very full of sulfur, quite a powerful odor. Here's a much more active pot, series of pots. This one here, you can hear the noises down below it. Every now and then it spits something out. Yep, there we go. It goes bubbly, bubbly, and then blink. Here's a little more of that big one come around, you can see in the side of it. This is much thicker than the other picture. Whoop, there we go. That shoots about 2 feet up. And that is, I guess, 220 degrees, something like that. And kind of give you the full sight view. I'll just do a 360-degree pan. But down here, all of these are hot springs that are popping up, and mud pots. And you can see they go for quite a while. And this is all because the Earth is pulling apart at this, not going together, but actually pulling apart. It's a rift. And so as it's doing that, it is releasing or making cracks that the material gets down into, the water gets down into, and then bubbles back to the surface, melting the clays and things that are below. As you can see up above, the whole mountain here is smoking. And then come back down to some of these clay pots that are bubbling away. And like Rotorua in New Zealand, there's very little color, just the browns, the whites, and the grays, no bright colors at all. And here up on the side of this hill is a very active ephemeral. I don't know if you can see the yellow. That's pure sulfur that's building up coming in from the depths. Very cool to just watch the steam rising. And here down on the main floor are a whole bunch of vents all very close together. Kind of looks like a garden from hell. There's a big one behind me here that I'll swing around and show you. There's a big vent right here. And here's a little better shot of that big one that's really, really flaring out. Well, this area was the third largest cauldron flood, I think he called it. And this is all the stuff that when the lava dam burst and the water came down. This is all the stuff that was just blasted along by the water. And so this is just seeing how everything just has been swept along. And someplace down here is supposed to be a waterfall, I think, tell me. So as of this point, I don't see much, but I think we're coming up on it. So let's see when we get to this peak here.
And in Spain, he woke up every morning. Okay.
I don't know, so far all I see is rocks. I don't see any, well, I see a little steam from it. I figured this is where the water was going to be. Well, I guess we're wrong. All dried up.
There.
Well, here we are. What's the name of this?
Ditti Foss. D-I-T-T-I.
Ditti Foss. Like dental floss. Like dental floss.
Those who want to go, walk that way.
Okay, we have come over to Ditti Floss. This is the largest waterfall in Europe.
Okay.
And wow, that's a lot of water. That's a lot of water. Yeah, we're going to go down and get a little closer. Let's see the mist rising out. Pretty amazing because everything else around it is just cold and dry, but from a distance you can start hearing the sound of it. And the ground actually is slightly vibrating from the violence of the water coming down. And unlike Niagara, they don't have a high-end condo or a casino anywhere in view, so that's kind of nice. Okay, this is a lot of water. See if I can get to the edge of this down. Holy smokes, that's a long way down. Can't see the bottom, and you can't see because of all of the steam coming off of it. That's one big waterfall. That's a lot of crashing water. Holy smokes. They say this is the largest waterfall in Europe because the Icelandics consider themselves being European. And I don't know, it's a lot of water. You can barely see up the channel here. You can start seeing. I keep looking for the Maid of the Mist. These guys just haven't figured it out yet. Okay, for the real men in the group, I've come over and I'm now standing. Oh man, is it cold? It's just pouring rain on me, or mist on me. Yeah, it's covering up my lens. There we go. Well, this is a little quieter. This is another falls just up from there. And my group has gone ahead so that I could go down to that area where I got all wet. So I'm going to try to make these falls too. But a lot of water rolling through here. And here we are at the other falls. This is actually much more spectacular than the other one. You can hardly see because of the violence of the water coming through. But I guess this is, well, by the color, I'm assuming this is all glacier fed. And you can just see there's a lot of water coming through that channel. They need a Maid of the Mist in here, though. Maid of the Mist, Maid of the Mist. Iceland, big waterfall. So here we are. This is the thermal
And the split rock is right over here.
plant in front of us.
Yes.
And then out in the distance here is our hotel in Mývatn, Iceland.
Yeah, there's some little those are the pseudo craters down in
And then you see the volcano there in the center.
The steam as it's coming out and it's coming over to the generator plants.
We'll swing around here.
And there's also a generator plant there.
And you can just see,
and then that's where we're going.
this is where all of these
and right next to it is
geothermal plants are located.
Is the bakery in the rock.
And what's the name of the big mountain over there with the snow on it?
On the
right
over there.
Yeah.
Flat Top Mountain. I don't know.
Flat top. I stumped him. All right.
But right in front of us is that huge volcano that I showed you last night. You can't see it because it's so wide, but it's absolutely beautiful. But all those are volcanoes. 1, 2, 3. Non-stop volcanoes, pseudo craters, another cinder cone. I mean, Mid-Atlantic Ridge, life doesn't get any better. Mother Nature is shouting out to us right now.
There you go.
Is it spreading out?
Huh? No, it's actually spreading this way. So, but I love this back up here. Isn't that great?
I do too, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, the world isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the middle Atlantic Ridge right there?
No, well, the whole map.
Well, we have driven about 30 minutes from our hotel to Kusavik. This is a harbor town, and we're going to go off on an hour and a half whale watch. And beautiful little, town. And you can see the mountains on the far side. Now remember, this is middle of July, and they still have a lot of snow up on the mountains. And a very light breeze, so I think you'll be able to hear me. You can see the houses up on the ridge here, overlooking the harbor. And well, this is heading out to our whale watch. Something to look forward to. Kusavik, Iceland. So explain to us how hard this job is to do.
It's just, it's just terrible. The surroundings are just not that inspiring.
Yeah.
I don't know, and then I work with such difficult people.
That's right.
Jeez.
And
And say your full names, who you are.
for me, it's Scott Frimouth Burns, but she is Argener.
And we love our job, and we love you guys.
There you go.
We do.
Argener, what's your last name is R-Y-R?
Gylfadóttir.
Could you do that one more time?
Argener Gylfadóttir. True Viking name.
Good Lord. Okay, thank you. And we're heading out to Puffin Island. There's Puffin Island out here. They name it after Puffin Island because there's a lot of orcas that swim around it, so they call it Puffin Island. Well, no, not really. So anyway, and then I'll take and zoom you around. Get a little bit of bounce of the sea, but not too bad. And there is the range of mountains heading back into where we just came from. If I can hold on to something. Here is some of our group. Ship is us and us only. It's really nice. And here's one of the crew. You can tell because of the beard. And so anyways, we're out hunting for whales, is what we're really out here for. But yes. Iceland. Well, by a little camera, it's a little hard to see. Yeah, these are puffins. A whole bunch of puffins. You can see them.
Lots of.
It's really hard to hold the camera with the boat moving and me moving.
Do you guys notice how silent the puffins are? They don't. If we were different pictures, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
He just sits there and then he swings that thing around.
There's your puffins on the water.
Less is only allowed to catch the puffins that don't get.
There are other species that are nesting on here too?
Yeah, but the birds that are more white, white-gray with a grayish bill, that are the fulmars from the family of the albatross. You also got razorbill, some kitty hawks, seagulls, different forms of, and also grey-leg goose should be some around. And on the bottom you see sometimes also some eider ducks.
Eider ducks.
We saw a few flying earlier.
Guide was saying that they can dive to 60 meters and hold their breath for 2 minutes. And they mate on land and they build a burrow rather than a nest.
Isn't this great?
They only give one egg per year.
No,
And they
these puffins
mate
are
for
very docile and they're very unafraid of humans.
they mate for life.
When we're in the south, I'll take you to some cliffs there where you can get really close to them. And they'll sometimes come almost right up to a person's camera and look at the lens and everything. It's very much in the right place. Yeah, yeah. They don't run away. They don't fly away. Yeah.
Now, not all of the birds flying off this island are puffins, but you can see there's a lot of them. They look like a football, flying football, as one of our naturalists here on board said. Short, stubby little wings, beat them like crazy to be able to fly. But there's, I think he said there were 150,000 puffins. This is the island where they come to reproduce. There you can see little white dots all over the wall there.
Roderick, when did they leave? It's like next month?
Puffins will leave around end of March or the beginning of September. They can head out into the open sea and stay over the winter sun, like around Nova Scotia. That's out in the sea.
Okay. And then they come back?
Only for the breeding time.
What month? May?
Are you able to get
May.
It's hard to hold the thing when your boat's moving.
Yeah, the nickname of them is the clowns of the sea, but yeah, you see from the behavior how they look like, especially how topsy they are when they have.
They followed us the whole time. And they
Really?
sought us out. Yeah.
There's some more puffins. It's really hard to video because they're just the ship is pitching and rolling, and so that and looking through the little screen doesn't help my equilibrium a whole lot. And here we are coming back into the little town. You can see the volcano behind it. Every town's got to have a volcano. It's Iceland after all. And here's one of the cruise ships in the port. And tourism is the biggest money maker here. From 2008, that's what has saved the entire population from total destruction, is the fact that they were able to get tourism stroked up here enough to keep the economy going after the bankruptcy of all their banks here on the island.
They must be the flying ones down there. They have long wings.
And we have come here. See some puffins, and I know they're in there someplace, but I can't
There's a bunch of them in that grass.
find my slot there.
Cute.
Oops, there goes one. Oops. There's a puffin.
Orange foot. Chick is up on the edge.
There's a puffin. He's actually looking right into the screen. Hi, how you doing there, buddy? Up. No, he's walking along. Oops. Don't go in the hole. Hold up. Oh. Went in the hole. There's another puffin here.
Oh no!
Oh gosh.
Oh. He used to work on the side of high buildings. You could tell he was. All right, let's go get some meat soup. Great stuff.
And there's some gulls in niches along the wall here. The puffins are a little bit lower than this. Well, we are here in a rift valley, the second largest rift valley in the world. The biggest one is in Uganda. And Rift Valley is, and you won't be able to really tell from this video, this is caused by the plates pulling apart beneath it and allowing this whole thing to fall in. And so where there is a yin and a yang, this wall versus that wall, it's a huge crack. If you could be up in the sky looking down at it, you'd see that there's a continual wall on either side. I guess this is the end of the Rift Valley. Is this the end of the valley?
Well, it depends. I mean, which end, lower end or the upper end?
Well, we seem to.
This is the lower end. And
This is the lower end.
and then the ocean is out there. So,
Okay.
but we have a story.
And here we are up on an overview of where we just were standing. This shows you a little bit more of this Rift Valley wall. We were told that this was a huge waterfall, that was coming over here. Now, of course, the waterfall's up there. It's a tiny little trickle, but it was tens of thousands of gallons of water coming, or tens of millions of gallons of water coming over this. But this is about 3,000 years ago. And again, this is a rift valley, which means that the bottom crack opened up underneath and this all fell in onto it.
All right, so we are in the valley of the Great Dedifloss River. 3,000 to 6,000 years ago, huge amounts of water, over 16 million cubic meters per second, came down this valley and scoured out this valley, creating it. In front of us, we have got these basalt formations formed at the ridge, which was about 40, 50 kilometers to our west. They have moved to here, and then the floods cut them in half, exposing this incredible cooling phenomenon and pattern that we have that looks like the bottom sole of a hiking boot. And it's a cooling phenomena in the basalt. Instead of being nice columns like we see to the right over there, this is a more complex cooling pattern that we have got. And this whole area that we will be seeing for the next half mile is just one of these blobs after another that has been cut in half by the floods.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Those.
Again, this is the less complex. You can see let me see if I can get up here. You can see the cooling patterns there of the column, basalt column. It's, they're very rectangular and straight up and down. And what he's talking about is they're in a big rosette on the other one. We've come over to a cave, well, a kind of a cave. But the really interesting part is that these are all of these column basalt coolings but they, instead of cooling from the top to the bottom in a column, the column actually runs into the wall. So you're actually seeing the exterior of the column, and so the column is actually going to show up going deeper into the wall. And that is very cool. And that's why we've come here. I've just zeroed in on these couple. They look like a couple of Chinese characters on the ends of these things. They're obviously not, but this is this is very cool, and that gives you a little scale. We've got a couple of our people in the area, but and these columns, you know, if you can look at them, they kind of are square, or 4, 6, or 8-sided columns. It's just the way the basalt was cooling at the time. If you get over here on the edge, you can see exactly how they're cooling as they went from the outside in and the inside out. And there you can see how they actually go down into the structure, into the pile. So here I am on a sheer cliff. Now let me just lean forward and take you over the cliff. Shoot straight down. Everything is fine, and then further up this trail, we come across this cave, which is very cool. If I get far enough in and away, you can see the way the basalt rock has cooled and hardened and then cracked into columns and built this beautiful cave. I'll take you out and show you the foundations of it on the outside. So here's the outside of this cave. It's a little hard to, because it's such a big space, but I'll try to do my best. And as you can see, the piles, all of those have gone in, and then we'll take and zoom you into the cave so that come back out. And then take you back around. And again, all this was formed between a flood in 3,000 years ago and 6,000 years ago. There were 2 floods, cauldron floods they call them. They were huge glacial lakes that filled up and then finally burst out and put just tremendous amounts of water through, and that's what cut this all through. Well, this morning as we're heading for the airport to fly back down to back down to Reykjavik, we have stopped here at this another waterfall, and these are the rapids coming down from it, and they said these are Gotta Falls or something like that. Gotta Falls, Gotta Falls, no, that's Gotta Dance. No, that's not right. Anyway. Beautiful morning. Some nice high clouds. Lots and lots of flies. Get out of here. Come on. And again, here are these falls from a little lower angle. Really quite nice. This is a different river than what we were on yesterday. I asked the guide, and she said, yeah, I like this one because this has got much more turquoise to it. The other area, the falls were almost muddy, not near as photogenic, and you really couldn't get near those falls in any way. They were so deep, recessed into the canyon. Okay, so we're just going to give you a couple minutes of.
Be sure to point out the U-shaped valley that you're going through.
Okay, you can speak right up here if you want to, Scott, talk and do a commentary if you'd like. I get it wrong.
This valley is absolutely beautiful U-shaped valley. It's actually catenary U-shaped valley. At the very far end, you got a nice big glacial moraine. This was carved by the glaciers in the past. Outstanding.
There we go.
Okay. En kannski að byrja þeim að
Words of
halda
Scott Burns, our geologist, fearless
að
leader,
halda sætunum saman.
and all that gibberish next to me that you can't quite understand. That would be our guide talking
Ég skal segja það myndi bara eftir.
in Icelandic, which we don't understand at all.
Hérna, ég læti þetta.
She'll be embarrassed when she finds out this is on YouTube and she's been saying bad things.
Now we're going up over the pass.
Tala.
There you go.
Okay.
But this is pretty much what we've been seeing for the last 5 or 6 days. And, kind of looks pretty similar. Occasionally you find some
We're going over a glacial moraine here. It's a deposit here.
glacial moraine,
which
is no relation to Susie Lorraine. That's a girl that I knew back years ago. But
Ég gerði það síðast líka svo ég fór síðast líka stað hálftíu, stað fyrir 10 og það vil gera það allir og þannig að við erum að gera það eftir núna. Bara svo aðeins að kíkja. Já, ég veit. Þau voru mjög spenntir því og tristur hans að ég var alveg til að gera þetta fyrir þau, þú veist, bara smá uppgötum. En hérna, svo er hana, sem við segja við raka hérna þegar við, að Efstidalur 2, hvað séum með það, ég sem hefði hlætt ekki gert. Viltu eitthvað breyta því að?
we'll have that conversation transcribed across the bottom of the screen for everybody so you know what she's talking about.
Bara reyna 100%, þú veist.
Well, I think that gives you enough to get a feel for what we've been doing. Beautiful country.
Flow up into these chambers from further down below, or squeeze into
Figured
the
that
crust
McAllister
around.
Mills would have been here to do a better job of insulating,
Surface shows the
jacketing
better
all these.
temperature increases with depth. The better is hottest increases.
This is what the spring
smells like. Old and recent magma intrusions into the crust.
the spring smell like. That's what the groundwater smells like. So it's all salty smell. It's silica.
We are here at a hydroelectric facility outside of Reykjavik. We're going to learn a little bit more about it. The interior view of the poorly insulated piping system that they had, or equipment they had. Rustec Sales actually sold from McAllister Mills, and we could do a better job of doing the insulation for them. Too bad it's not in my territory. Big turbine. See the hot water coming down from the geothermal sites. We're about to go into the lava center. This is brand new. It's about a year old, and it's right near the big eruptions that happened in 2010 that helped pull the tourist economy into focus and bring the country out of bankruptcy from 2008. The Lava Center. We're in the Lava Museum. I'll give you a minute to read that. simulation of a lava flow. This is really well done. Now I'm up on the roof of the lava center, and this will show you some of the different peaks that have that are volcanoes that have exploded. I think that's the one, that one there is the one that started this all in 2010. I think that's that. And you know, you can zoom out and then kind of cross around, and just about every peak you see sticking up is some sort of a volcanic cone, a cinder cone. Try to do this slowly, but it's not a bad day today. I'm gonna have to switch over. Oh, I guess I can see the screen well enough. Normally rains all the time here. I'm going to switch over to, well, no, there I can see the screen again. There's a glare on the screen. It keeps me from being able to see real clearly. Okay, I switched over to the eyepiece. Now I can see what I'm looking at. 130 different volcanoes on this island. The island's about the size of Kentucky. 330,000 people. A third of the people, two-thirds of the people live in Reykjavik. About 200,000 of them. The rest of them are scattered in little tiny towns all across. And we've seen several of the little towns. But this is the brand new lava center that they've just set up. That I'm shooting from the roof of it. And so I would be screaming in a minute that I'm not ready to go. And normally it's raining. Talking to my guides, they said, yeah, normally we get rain and rain and rain. Today it's probably the dreariest day that we've had. Iceland. Well, here we're at another waterfall, and you can see people pacing back around behind it. Gotta get here, might as well do it. Really nice clear water. It's 180 feet tall, he told us. And here we are a little closer. Show you how the water is. Oh, thank you. directly down in. And here's a little better view of the back of the water. Pretty cold back here with the wind coming off the water. And then you can see the people who've been kind of working their way around. Put my cameras into my coat when I get ready to walk through more spray. And here we are looking directly through the water back out onto the parking lot and the plane out in front of us. Really pretty. And here's the same waterfall from the other side. You got a really good view of the water impacting. Oops, hang on. You got it? Yeah. Okay. Got a really good picture of the impacting of the water. And here's Jane trying to pick her way up the waterfall. Here we are with some more of that basalt rock columns you can see there on the edge. And down here. And then this is a black sand beach. And out here we get some views of some columns. Zoom in up. There's the column. Hopefully you can hear me over the wind blowing away. And then we swing out to play and you can see some of the, this is all erosion that's been taking this out. Well, we are now on the other side of this little thing here, where I was just showing. This is the Icelandic version of the Old Man of Stowe. You can see off here in the distance these eroded pinnacles. A very famous one in off the coast of Scotland. Actually come over here because there's some puffins to my left, so I'm going to go and see if I can get some pictures of puffins. Well, here we go. Here's a puffin.
No, you're fine.
And the wind is strong here.
It's stronger than any place we've been.
Oop, there he goes.
They're more colorful. They're colorful the whole time. The mating season, they really have this thing. You can go to the Oregon Coast Aquarium. They have so many puffins. They have puffins. Kids just love it. Left, right. That's how. They realize they are. Yeah, one up there.
So here we are at Soljema Hurlka. I slaughtered that too. But this is a glacier.
I should be looking at.
This is a glacier.
Okay, that was nice.
This is the depository. This is some of the ice that's broken off from it.
Okay, with the glacier.
Algena. That's our guide. Algena.
Yes, come in here.
Uh-oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Okay, here we go.
I'm the intruder.
Well, no, the intruder is your girl.
It's original.
She's like photobombing this picture.
En sol helemaal ontwikkeld. Slow niet.
Solheima Jökull.
Sol helemaal ontwikkeld. There you go. Holy smoke! I just like a local.
Where they've had
But here's a little closer look at this glacier. 20 years ago, we'd be under about 40 feet of ice at this point, but that's how it's been slowly receding, or quickly receding, actually. There's some people down there heading up the path.
Really young, honey.
And
So you take them all the way to the glacier?
Yeah, we
can swing across the glacier.
I just wanted to, at this point, just give a brief
show you
explanation.
some of the.
If anybody wants to go on, I know Deb wanted to at least. And so we can go up
There's
there
some
through the front.
icebergs that are broken off of it or floating in the lake.
Emphasize not onto the ice. I'm responsible.
Yeah.
Okay, a few of them have come all the way down to the ice on this glacier. And from here you can start seeing some of the dark blue that'll appear in the after the calvings. Let's see, a little view here. You should see a real dark blue right in there. If it comes out. And this again is a rapidly receding glacier. And we're not allowed up on it without ice axe and crampons and everything because it's very dangerous because this is 100% icy, so there is no snow on it. So there we go. And here we are at another beautiful waterfall. I gotta ask you what the total count of waterfalls there are in the country. It's gotta be like 10,000. It shows you how the water flashing up has caused all of this stuff. There's a lot of mist to build all of this moss and everything up on the rock. And here's another magnificent waterfall. Now this would be a glacier bed. You can tell by the wheat is Scott calls it in the water. It gives it that milky color. It's actually the ground stone from underneath the weight of the glacier. And this one is the second one we've seen on an angle like this. You can see the upper one has an angle, but then the other lower one, and this is just where the fissures happen to bear the weight, and that's why they are at an angle like that. But it's quite a lot of water. And, really fascinating to see how they form like that. And I'll put the name of the falls on the screen. Scott was just explaining that this is the oldest geyser. He calls it the old geyser geyser. From I forgot the date, 1400s I think it was. And this is the first one, and this is what they called it, so that's the reason why all other geysers are called the same thing. So that's how they got the name geyser. But that gives you a... And this one doesn't function any longer. It did for years. It used to shoot up about 200 feet, and now it's kind of dead.
I think this.
Well, this one goes off about every 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
And he said it shoots up about 100 feet, but it lasts for about 3 seconds. So I'm just gonna burn some video here until it goes off, and then we'll be able to say, oh, there it goes. So I'll edit to something reasonable. Well, there's a pool of water in there, I guess. I like the one at Rotorua where they throw a bag of laundry detergent down it. I said, how do they know that it goes off exactly on this? And the guide says, you'll see when we get there. And the guy walks over and dumps a bag of laundry detergent. And he says, it goes off at 3 minutes.
Oh, you can tell.
Yeah, probably not the best thing for the geyser. But.
Right. Arms are getting tired.
Yeah.
You're not serious.
Oh, here it comes. That was it. I hope that wasn't anticlimactic for everybody watching this video. Did you get a picture of it? And here we've got a little geyser. He said it goes about a foot, but you can see it bubbling down in the cauldron that it's built around itself. That's silica that build up around it. Oh, there it goes. Oh, that was a big one. That was a big one.
Did it go over?
So the little brown layers, the little waterfalls that you have here are all layers of sinter. This is a type of quartz that has been laid down, and in it will capture the thermophiles, and then what you do is you take those out, you look at them under a microscope and characterize them. And so
And a thermophile is a tiny microscopic that's able to land in.
Yep.
It's able to live in 2,000 or
200 and 300 degrees. Yeah.
That was as big as the first time.
Yep. So that's.
And here's more of the thermals, geothermal units. You can see this one's very active. It's got a lot of splashing up out. And it's just really, really boiling water trapped in little caves under there, and then eventually it gains enough pressure to really blow bubbles is really what it's doing. The geysers of Iceland. Argonaut, our guide, just explained to us that this is where this is their area where the kind of the court of justice would come in and pass judgment on the women. The women were put in a burlap sack with rocks, and they would throw them in for adultery. And I said, where'd they punish the men? And she said, oh, well, there's a guillotine about a mile from here. She said, the guys got it with a guillotine. So adultery, not so good things happen to you. She said, if you're a witch, well, that wasn't a problem. Well, we've come up to this area. This is where the North American plate and the European plate meet. This is the rift that goes down through. We're going to see where the two plates actually are splitting apart. From 980 to 1750, I think she said, this was where they would meet once a year for 2 weeks, and all of the laws were run and were gone over. And on this rock, there was a guy that was required to memorize all of the laws and then recite them over and over and over again in order so that people could hear the laws. And it's kind of a cool sight. This was the site of the first real democracy here because they voted, and or republic, if you want to call it that. And so anyway, so we're going to go further up and see a little bit more of this whole area.
You want to go out there?
Well, here we are at the exact spot where the two plates pull apart. We're waiting for somebody to come out and stand across the big crack here.
Didn't know that. We take one
Here we are with the two of them spanning the Eurasian
There we
and
go.
American plate. The American plate is on the left,
You want
and
us
the
to come and get you?
Eurasian's on the right. And I'm shooting video of this, so if something happens, it's going to all be on Scott there. And so,
Okay.
there we go. Look at this. They're holding the whole thing
You're
together.
holding the world together.
It's an amazing thing.
There you go. You got both.
So this is our whole group lining up to do different things across this big crevice. But again, this is where they would come once a year, about 5,000 people, starting in 930 AD and until the 1780s. And they would come and meet here and discuss their laws and hold meetings and et cetera, et cetera. And so here we are with our whole crew lining up to get our pictures.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you want to turn around? I'm going to do it on the...
Well, we are here up in the Glacier Museum in Reykjavik, and this is an ice cave that we're in. Gives you an idea of what the inside of the ice on a glacier looks like. I've actually done this in Switzerland in an actual one bored through, and it's amazing. It looks exactly the way they've got this set up. Come on forward. I can't see you yet. A little more. There we go. There's Nora.
You find your spot.
I did. It's a tunnel designed to
A little chilly in here. Very nicely done. There you see the crevasse. That's very cool.
Crevasse we have here.
Absolutely. Is your butt getting cold?
Yes. He's waiting for me. I can't seem to get my
The king on his throne.
photo. Here we go.
I'm King Pearl.
King Pearl.
King Pearl.
You ready? Somebody make a corner. Turn a corner. The exit is down there. So
Oh, okay.
This is it.
This is very cool. That's cool. Yeah, it is. No pun intended, I guess. A little low bridge here. Some of them are low enough that I have to crawl on my hands and knees. Can't do that. So. the Queen.
Hold still.
Oh, sorry.
Got the Queen on her throne.
Very good.
What's her Grendler?
I'm Elsa.
You're Elsa. Of course, I'm sorry.
Stay back. No.
Well, this may be the final scene of the movie on Iceland. We're down on the waterfront, and you can see a couple of ships that have been brought in to be cleaned up and repaired. And so this, as I say, may be the last scene unless something else comes up, but we're about to head for the airport. And little burger joint. They even have the street sign says burger joint, which is interesting. And so there we have it.